As I stood frozen in the dimly lit hallway, my heart pounded like a war drum in my chest. The air was thick with an unsettling chill that seemed to seep into my bones. Shadows danced wildly around me, cast by the flickering candlelight that barely illuminated the old mansion's decaying walls. We had come here searching for answers, hoping to uncover the truth about the paranormal activity that plagued this place. But now, as I stared into the darkness at the end of the corridor, I realized we had stumbled into something far more sinister than we had ever imagined. It was supposed to be a routine investigation. My team, consisting of myself, Mark, Sarah, and Alex, had spent countless nights in supposedly haunted locations, capturing orbs and EVPs, debunking myths, and occasionally encountering phenomena we couldn't explain. But this mansion was different. From the moment we stepped inside, there was a heaviness in the air, an oppressive feeling that made it hard to breathe. We set up our equipment in what appeared to be the main hall, surrounded by dusty paintings of long-dead aristocrats and forgotten landscapes. The floorboards creaked underfoot, and the wind outside moaned like a lamenting soul. Sarah, our medium, had already begun to sense a presence, a restless spirit she couldn't quite identify. Alex, our tech expert, was busy calibrating the cameras and EVP recorders, while Mark, our skeptic-turned-believer, cracked nervous jokes to lighten the mood. Hours passed uneventfully, or so we thought. As the clock struck midnight, we decided to split up, each taking a different wing of the mansion to cover more ground. I took the second floor, where the air grew colder with every step. Shadows danced on the walls as my flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing glimpses of faded wallpaper and rotting floorboards. I was halfway down the hallway when I heard it, a faint, mournful wail echoing from somewhere below. My blood ran cold, and I hurried to radio the others, but my walkie-talkie only emitted static. Panic began to claw at the edges of my mind as I realized I was alone, cut off from the rest of my team. With trembling hands, I pressed on, driven by a mix of fear and determination to uncover the truth. That's when I saw her, a young girl with pale skin and hollow eyes, standing at the end of the hallway. She wore a tattered dress that swayed gently as if caught in an unseen breeze. I froze, my heart hammering in my chest as I struggled to make sense of what I was seeing. She beckoned to me, her expression blank yet somehow filled with sorrow. "Who are you?" I managed to choke out, my voice barely above a whisper. She didn't answer. Instead, she turned and drifted through a nearby door, disappearing into the darkness beyond. Against every instinct screaming in my mind, I followed. The room beyond was a chamber of horrors. Walls adorned with strange symbols and flickering candles casting eerie shadows. In the center of the room stood an old wooden table, upon which lay a weathered book bound in cracked leather. The air was thick with the scent of decay and something else, something ancient and malevolent. I approached the table, my footsteps echoing loudly in the silence. As I reached out to touch the book, a voice whispered in my ear, a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. "Do you seek the truth?" it asked, sending shivers down my spine. Before I could respond, the candles flickered wildly, casting grotesque shadows on the walls. The temperature plummeted, and a chill ran through me that had nothing to do with the cold. I knew then that we had awakened something dark, something that should have remained buried. Suddenly, the walls began to bleed, a thick, crimson liquid oozing from cracks in the ancient wallpaper. The room seemed to twist and distort around me, as if reality itself was unraveling. I stumbled back, my mind reeling with terror as the whispers grew louder, filling my head with maddening thoughts and visions of unspeakable horrors. I tried to run, to escape the madness closing in around me, but the door had vanished, swallowed by the shifting walls. I was trapped, alone with whatever malevolent force we had awakened. Tears streamed down my face as I screamed for help, knowing deep down that no one would hear me. Hours, or maybe minutes, passed in a blur of terror and confusion. I lost all sense of time as the mansion seemed to devour me whole, feeding on my fear and despair. Shadows danced around me, taunting me with their twisted forms and mocking laughter. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, it stopped. The room was silent once more, the bleeding walls returning to their faded state. I collapsed to the floor, shaking uncontrollably as I tried to comprehend what had just happened. Had it all been a hallucination brought on by fear and exhaustion? Or had we truly unleashed something beyond our understanding? I crawled towards the door or where it had been, finding only solid wall. The mansion had changed, warped into a labyrinth of endless corridors and shifting rooms. I was lost, adrift in a nightmare from which I feared I would never wake. As I write this, huddled in a corner of this ever-changing labyrinth, I can hear them, the whispers of the dead, the cries of the damned. They surround me, their voices overlapping and blending into a cacophony of sorrow and rage. I know now that I will never escape this place, that I am destined to wander these halls for all eternity, haunted by the horrors we unleashed that night. And so, if you ever find yourself drawn to the darkness, searching for answers that should remain hidden, heed my warning. The veil between the living and the dead is thinner than you could ever imagine, and some doors are best left unopened.